This conference will now be recorded.
Sock off just so you can see better. I know things are kind of gnarly.
Yeah, this is pretty.
But you're gonna basically grab the forefoot here and you're gonna stretch the toe and the foot at the same time. You see how I'm doing that, Brad?
Yep, so he's extending all the toes.
Yeah, I'm pulling the toes like this because the plantar fascia does extend into the toes through the tendons. And I'm also pulling the foot.
So he's, yeah, pulling that ankle up, and all the tissues under it here, you're gonna feel that stretch. And you may not be able to do this really quick. You may have to.
You might have to work into it. You may even do a little bit of pressure on, pressure off.
Yep.
Pressure on, pressure off. All this is going to, again, get you prepared for taking that first step in the morning. And great stretch. You can do it throughout the day. I mean, you could literally do this every hour, Brad.
You have to take your shoe off, though, huh?
Well, no, I'm going to show you some variations. Let's say you're sitting in a chair, Brad, and because that is what a lot of times people find is after they've been sitting for a while and then they get out.
Yeah.
And it's like re-tearing those tissues again. So
you want to go after it slowly, a little more gently.
Right. So what you can do, you can have your shoe on and doing this, but again, I'm gonna have it off just so you can see better. You can just put your foot back like this, Brad. And again, I'm stretching the toe and I'm leaning forward like this.
Yeah. So right in here, you can see, especially the great toe or the big toe is getting the most extension and then so on. But you'll feel it. This is one of those stretches you're going to feel.
And then if you really want to get a little crazy, Brad, you can actually go down all the way like this.
Yeah.
And stretch like that.
Right. This is something you work into. Use good judgment and let your body talk to you.
Now you
listen to it.
Yeah. Now you can do it on a mat like this too. You want to show that one, Brad? Well, you got that on. See. So here's another way, another variation. You're going to get the toe up like this.
Get this out of the way, Bob.
So I'm like this, Brad, right? Okay. And then I can put my knee like this. I can just lean back onto it, right?
Yep.
So you can go like this.
Yep.
Right?
Well, yeah. He's asking me.
I'm getting very,
yeah, he wants
clarification here.
Confirmation by the bystander. Yeah, right in here. We're looking at this stretch right in here. Stretching that plantar fascia, all the bottom of the foot.
That really stretches things, Brad.
Yeah.
Now, you want the whole chain stretch too. You can, if you have an incline board, these work out really nice.
These are nice, and it's more comfortable, and they just work. You can relax. Now, if you look at my leg, here, go ahead. Oh, I got my sock. It is not tight there. Look at that. We don't have the stripes. Now, if you look at the leg, I got my knee fully extended. That stretches the gastrocnemius a little higher to the knee. Then I'm going to bend the knee, and then stretch forward. And then you get a deeper stretch down in here.
It's the soleus too.
Yep. Which, by the way, is good for shin splints. So you get two birds with one stone.
Right. Okay. Now, if you don't have a slant board, you can lean up against the wall like this and do it with the leg straight and also with the leg bent.
Right.
So
here we get the
variation here. You can also do this on the end of the step. I mean, you're holding onto the railings and just pull your foot off.
You're going to hold and stretch it.
And my feet are dirty here, Brad.
Oh, Bob.
So, the plantar fascia runs from like the heel and up into the toes here. So you can just take your two thumbs, Brad, and if this is too tender to handle it, you might start up here first, and you're just going to do a splaying massage, which in other words, I'm taking the thumbs together and then I'm pulling them apart while I'm going deep into the tissues.
Yeah, and you push it hard. It's hard. It might be hard to see on the camera, but your thumbs are going to get tired with them doing this after a couple minutes for sure.
So and then eventually, hopefully, you can work down to this area. Hopefully, it'll be able to tolerate.
And he's talking about oftentimes, or most of the time, right in this area. I'm going to mark on you, Bob. This is the area. If you push it with your thumb or your finger, it's going to send it through the roof.
Yeah.
That's where that fascia attaches.
If you want to diagnose whether or not you have it or not, that's the spot right in here. That's the tender spot. So this is a massage you can do every day. You can do it a minute at a time, especially if you do it every day, or you can do it, a couple times a day.
Sure. What about the one where you take the pop bottle, drink the pop?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Pour it down the sink, you're probably better off. Fill it up with water almost to the top and freeze it. And then at that point, this is not a pop bottle, but go ahead and put your foot on there, Bob. And you have basically a frozen round ice cube.
And you can roll it like this.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of massage almost, and it's cooling down at the same time.
Exactly.
So, another little variation of there.
That one is less pain or less irritating than the cold, plus it doesn't make a wet mess.
The other thing that we would highly recommend, if things aren't getting better, or if you want to move things.
This conference will now be recorded.
If you don't have time, you can always.
You're gonna have to set your alarm for.
Yeah, set your alarm. Yeah. So the first one is, so remember the plantar fascia extends from the heel all the way up into the toes. You want to stretch this before you get out of bed. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab all the toes under with your hand like this and pull it forward like that. So I'm bending the ankle and I'm bending the toes and I'm stretching the fascia. You can probably see that even. You see that, Mike? Yeah, you can probably see that the fascia is being stretched that way. So, a good, I'm not sure what I recommended on the sheet for how many seconds to do this. Why don't you look it up, Brad?
Okay.
I'm going to do the next one. So you can do it, I'm sorry, I have Brad, never mind. 5 times and hold for 20 seconds.
Okay.
5 times you're going to do this, hold for 20 seconds. CJ?
Typically, probably the best way is just bring your foot up like this, and as long as you get in this position, and average with what we call a splaying, and you just thumbs together, and then you spread out like this and stretching the skin. You're really pushing in. Can you get into that, Mike, and see so you can see what's going on?
If you can't do it laying down, you can do it on the edge of the bed like I was doing it.
Sure. Yep.
And generally the sore spot is right in here.
Yep.
So Brad, often you want to work this area first. And if you can tolerate working this area, but you may not even be able to handle that the first couple times.
Yep. Should we go into the
yeah. More of a circular.
Yeah. I like to do my knuckles. It's easier.
Use your thumbs or your knuckles.
Yes. It's like this. The thumb knuckle. You'll know after you work with a bit. If you just go like this, that works too, but your fingers will get tired because you got to push in. You got to work the tissues under the skin, get into that fascia. We want to increase circulation, stretch it out. All those things help the healing process.
Again, with time as a factor, we usually say 1 to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You can do it longer, obviously, but
typically your hands, your fingers will get tired.
Right. Brett, while you're in position, you want to go ahead and show the next one. Now, this again, I'd like to be doing this one, but if you can't do it every time, you can't do it every time. So go ahead and do a calf stretch and a hamstring stretch at the same time, basically. You can.
So you can use a belt. It's handy, typically in the bedroom.
Yep, look how he's going around the forefoot there.
Oops. There we go. And I'm stretching it.
The calf and stretching the hamstring.
Yeah. And if I straighten my knee, you even get a better hamstring. And depending on your nerve floss, you may get a little bit of a nerve stretch. That's a little different pain.
Yeah, so 30 seconds to a minute. Here's a towel, Brett, or a sheet might work better. There you go.
There we go.
So you're gonna have to have these things obviously by the bed before you even start. Otherwise, you're gonna walk it, you're gonna break it open before you even before the day's even started. All right, next one, Brad. This is probably a better one to do off the edge of the bed. Would be, basically just to do the alphabet. This is gonna warm your foot up, warm the ankle up. So Brad, you mentioned before, it's like you take the marker to the big toe.
Yeah, imagine you take a Sharpie or a piece of chalk to your big toe, and there's a blackboard, whiteboard, whatever, in front of your foot, and you're going to make a capital A, like drawing it across it, and a B. And the only reason we do that is because you get a complete range of motion with your foot, and it gives you something to think about. It's just a really nice way to get range of motion on the foot, which does stretch that fascia a little more as well, preparing it for, and you're not going to do the whole alphabet. Yeah, you probably get up to C or D or
Warm it up a little
yeah.
bit. So, all right, the final thing now, the first two things we call them quick wins because we try to come up with things that give you the most benefit for the least amount of effort.
Sure. It's nice to have a nice slip-on slippers that are easy to put on.
Yeah, you could even take an old pair of tennis shoes that still have pretty good arch support and take the laces out of it.
Sure.
And it'll be just easy to slide on and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I just had a patient right now, Brendan. I recommend this.
Sure.
And this is the same that's true, again, if you're working in your office or maybe you're driving for 2 hours, before you get out of your car, make sure you can have good arch support, but also you might move the stretch before you get out of the car.
You can do it with your shoe on.
Yeah, you can do it with your shoe on.
Hopefully you got a flex.
This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Marked off here. They walk with too much heel strike. So they hit like this, and that puts a lot of stress on the plantar fascia as you're walking. What you off here, they walk with too much heel strike. So they hit like this, and that puts a lot of stress on the plantar fascia as you're walking. What you want to do is try to hit the heel and the forefoot almost simultaneously.
Sure.
In fact, we recommend that you put 50 to 70% weight on your heel and the remainder on the forefoot. So,
and this is quite a change, and Bob and I were just discussing that. But if you just think of, I guess if you think of like your elbow coming down, that's going to hurt.
Right.
But if you come down on your forearm and your elbow,
you're spreading the forces
out. It's not what's happening, but it gives you an analogy of that.
Sure. So we're going to try to give you some cues here that'll maybe help you do this. One, don't walk with your knee extended. If you are hyperextended.
So yeah, so right here.
When you hit, the knee should be slightly bent. That's going to help you right there. Because if you're going like this, and some people walk with their knee extended, maybe one side, not the other, that's going to make it worse. The other one that really probably helps if you shorten your stride. If you're trying to take long strides,
right.
Eventually you can go back to longer strides again. The stride is happening more behind you than in front of you. Does that make sense to you, Brad? You look a little confused on that.
Right.
So
well,
if I'm taking long strides, I'm going to probably hitting heel.
Right, and you have to heel strike when you take a long stride.
Right.
It's very difficult to do what we're doing. So I think the big key is shorten your stride up, lean forward a little bit, and that's going to help you get that foot to hit the floor in a flat.
Yeah. So when I hit, everything should be lined up here. My hip and my shoulders are over the foot as opposed to being behind the foot.
Right.
So people that work this the first time, they almost feel like they're falling forward. They feel like they're leaning so far forward, like they're falling forward onto their foot.
If you happen to be a runner and you've done some research on running and forefoot running, a lot of the body mechanics and stuff are in line.
Absolutely the same thing.
So it makes a lot of sense.
You can hold on to a chair and just practice going forward and back, hitting forward and back, trying to hit both at the same time like this. You just think about it and it'll come to you. Also, you want to obviously make sure you have appropriate footwear when walking. And we're going to usually recommend like a running shoe. Even if you are a runner, you want to have one that has adequate arch support and cushioning.
Yeah, and the reason is with running shoes, they make them with a more variable arches. Some with more arch, some with less. You got to find one that fits your foot.
Yeah, and we have a video on that. Right. So the final thing is, if you are actually a toe walker like this, you're going to want to go back to getting a little stress on the heel.
Sure.
Brad and I talked about this with running. You said with running.
This conference will now be recorded.
Infrared will actually, you don't even have to make contact. You will get that depth.
Yeah, if
Even
it's
if
down
it's not
here, it'll
contact.
still, yeah, right, it'll still go all the way up. It doesn't have to be conforming right to your skin.
Right.
So we got two methods. We're big fans of Thermatex. One, they have the big shoe, basically, this is it's called, or the big slipper.
Yeah, specifically made for the feet.
Yeah, and it's nice, especially in the winter when you have cold feet. You can put this on your desk, you just slide it in there. It's got a liner in there too if it gets too warm.
Sure.
So for the bottom of your foot, you want to make sure that's in there. But my daughter uses this all the time. She has a problem with her feet. She just sticks it underneath the desk and
it doesn't matter if you have problems or not. It's the winter time and you got cold feet issues. Whoa, it's a treat. But this way you can get both feet at the same time. You do not need this one.
Right.
You can go to this.
This is the platinum model. The reason I like this one probably a little bit better is because now you can use it over the entire body. You can use it for your back pain or your neck pain,
right?
Or your thigh
pain, here,
right, calf pain.
And the nice thing about it is you can roll it and you can actually put your hands in there. But in this case, you're going to go like this and go like this. It's got a nice elastic strap.
Yeah, it comes with it actually comes with some extra straps if you order through our link.
Yep.
Because Bob and Brad like to have it that you can actually wear it for back pain.
Right.
So
we suggested that.
So, but this is, this would work great for this, and then you have something for the other parts of your body that are hurting. So we have a link below. This is how we are able to offer these videos for free. Just to remind you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Seated position. And what we've done here is we put a couple lines here. We put a line on the base of my metatarsals and also right on the floor here. So I'm going to line it up.
You don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that, right? You don't have to do that at all. But I want to show you what I'm doing. So basically, it's called doming. This was invented by Vladimir Janda.
Yep.
So,
wow. If you're in the therapy world, you've heard of them.
You've heard of them, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually arch my foot and slide my toes back. I'm not trying to dig them in like this, but I'm sliding them back, and you can see that line moves away from this line right there, and in effect creating more of an arch. Now, I was a little critical of this, Brad. I was like, how much of this is really doing?
Yeah.
This has made a big difference in my life. I actually,
in your life?
In my life. I mean, it's helped my balance.
Sure.
It really, and what I do is a lot of times I'll do stretches like a hip flexor stretch. Yep. And while I'm doing it, I'll go ahead and do some of this doming.
So this is, and it may be for different people. I can see right there the muscle actually working,
kicking in.
Yeah, bulging out. It's a subtle movement. It's not like you're moving your elbow or like curling your toe, but to get these what we call intrinsic muscles to strengthen and work, this is what you have to do.
Yep, and you will hold it for 5 to 8 seconds, and you repeat 10 times each foot. And then you want to get to the point where you do it standing too. So you're going to work on standing and try some doming. So with a little bit of weight bearing on it. That's what I'm doing here again.
Now, do you think of something to make it work? Like, do you think of trying to lift your arch up, or you just think about sliding?
I try to slide it back.
Okay.
That seems to work the best for me. But this really has helped my single leg standing, Brad. I mean, I keep when you're putting your pants on, and you go like this. I was like falling over it before, and now I'm putting it on.
This conference will now be recorded.
Right.
While you're in bed. One method was basically the circular method where you can take your thumbs and make little circles and working your way over the painful areas. Now, if it's painful right here, you might not be able to tolerate that.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to work around it first.
Yep.
And eventually work into this. But, you don't want to get things fired up. So if it hurts, you don't want.
Right. You may get in there pretty deep.
Yes, you can really dig in with the thumbs.
Your thumbs should get tired after a couple of minutes.
You can also do splaying. So you put your thumbs together and then you pull them apart. This is the one that really worked for my wife really well. Just help pull it apart.
It just feels good anyway.
It feels good. Now, if you're at work, you do this. And that's why we're giving you some other options. Brad, you want to talk about some of the things you can put below your desk?
Yes, yes, I do, Bob. You know,
They're right here, man.
I know, but depends on the floor. You'll know. I got a ping pong ball that might work. It's a small, but to get a smaller ball, and actually it works pretty good, Bob. I haven't done
Really?
it before. Yeah, it's smaller, and you're just gonna roll.
Where you're gonna crush it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not gonna stand on it. It's nice. That's not bad. Or you know, the golf ball. Obviously,
Golf ball's nice because it's textured and it's gonna actually give a little bit of more of a. You can also get it to smaller spots than that. The golf
I
ball.
think this is even smaller.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm amazed. I haven't done that, but we've got all these different balls, tennis ball, and they all have a different feel to it. And it's going to depend on the size of your foot, the symptoms of your plantar fascia, and just what you can find. Tennis ball's definitely not as aggressive.
Yeah.
Softer.
So this is not a bad thing to do again because remember, as you sit, the plantar fascia starts to half heal.
Mm-hmm.
Then you stand on it and it breaks open again.
Yep.
And it kind of re-injures it. So you want to do this so that's not going to happen.
Right.
You're going to be ready to stand up. Which one do you have now?
This is a lacrosse ball,
Lacrosse
so
ball.
it's very hard, but it's a little bit bigger in diameter. It's not so aggressive, but it's a little more aggressive. I really like this one. I was in a store and at the checkout line they had these little kids toys, and it's like
It actually lights up.
Yeah, and it's a little softer, but this really does feel good on my foot. That little spikes there, and actually
That gets in the way on that one.
yeah. But so yeah, it's amazing. You don't have to spend much money to have things like this. It can be really productive.
If you want to spend a little money, we recommend the Rempo cordless massager. What's nice about this is it's really easy to use. It's got percussion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these are fairly inexpensive for cordless massagers.
Right, and it's a well built, and
A lot of times they have coupons.
right. The percussion ones seems to be always more expensive, but this is probably the least expensive percussion that is built well.
What's nice about this, if you're having problems in other areas, you can use it for that too. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
not
So
just for the foot.
it's not just for the foot, but it's just, you can sit there and watch TV and with very little effort, go ahead and massage.
Yeah, you do the massage with your thumbs. You're gonna get sore thumbs, and this, it's a little easier.
Same thing with this. You're going to work around the painful area first, and then you can try to work into the painful area to see if you can tolerate it. And it may not be able to tolerate it. They come with like 5 different heads you can put on these.
Yeah, they come on off 30.
So, and then the ultimate massager, Brad. This is again a Rempo massager. Again, we like Rempo. We don't get paid for these, but we like Rempo because they're good machines that are fairly inexpensive.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, here I have a hand towel here on the floor. I warmed up my feet, done a little marching, a little point and flex, some foot circles. Now, if those are difficult, you need to do more of those on a video I've done. So, got those feet warmed up. I'm going to do towel pulls with my toes. I'm going to grip those toes in and drag that toward me and drag it toward me. The first time this was given to me in therapy, I thought they were crazy. But it strengthened my feet, gave me more mobility. You can see the toes are moving. I couldn't even pull this towel originally when I went into foot therapy. You can bend over or push it with your foot, whatever works for you. But you need to do 5 to 10 of these. And some days if your feet are in, a little more mobile state, you can do these or just do them slowly. Even if you're not pulling the towel, you're working those toes. I would recommend, I'm going to do 3, but you should do, like I said, 6 to 8, maybe 10, pulling that towel and pulling that towel and pulling that towel. That will work those feet, trust me. Again, when you come up, try to open those toes, but you're forced to in order to get a good grip. That's what I like about it. It's breaking up that button. It's giving it mobility, giving it blood. You can see the difference in my happy foot. It moves quite a bit easier, but when I think of when neither one it together. I'm just gonna grip that, pull it over, and pull it over. And then take it back, and take it back again, emphasizing the opening and closing of those toes on top and bottom. Drag in that toe, work in that ankle. And because of the bunion, right through here, I have pain, but it starts to dissipate and break up by doing this. If you have arch pain, great way to break that up. Again, I would do 8 to 10 of these because it feels so good, and it just shows you how you can get the range of motion on those feet going. I should have had a picture a few months ago before and after of my feet, or I should say a year ago. Trust me, I still have pain, but more tolerable than it used to be. Okay, I moved to carpet because this next one is a little bit more challenging. I keep my marbles. I'm always trying to keep my marbles. I find about 10 marbles and a few little other tricks that I'm going to save for another time. And I get those marbles lined up, and this is a difficult one. I take my toes and I pick up the marbles with my toes. What that does is forces the strength through the digits by grasping. I like to slide down and do the first few toes, and the second few toes, right down to the end of my foot. Now the pinky's broken, that's why he's off on his own little venture there. And I'm sure some of you have some of those. And I'm taking this across. Now, I have slighted my good foot, and now the left foot, the back foot, is better than the other. But I'm still going to work at it. Pick it up and take it over. Working those feet, breaking up the tension. I like that this foot has to cross over because my right hip sometimes gets a little locked. And by moving this sideways, I'm unlocking that hip joint as well. Sometimes I get frustrated, like you're gonna get, there it goes. But when that happens, I might just push it over, but I'm still not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep breaking up that tension in that foot. Keep trying, because that's why it's called practice. It's called work. It's called exercise. Get it over there. Obviously, I'm going to have to work on that foot. Let's go back to this was supposedly the bad foot. But you can see I've spent a little bit more time on my bad foot, and now I'm getting unbalanced exactly like what they said. So I'll have to start making sure I give them equal time. But I'd like to show you the real world because you're going to go through the same thing possibly. You need a channel keeping it real. Now, how we got just enough time. Find a hair ponytail holder or a rubber band that's not too big. This is primarily people with bunions or bunion stiffness, pain. I loop it between these first 2 toes and I gently stretch that out and hold it. Trying to get it back into alignment. It's not probably going to go, but it's going to give it that range of motion to keep the foot from crossing more and to keep it mobile, because if that gets stuck across, there's going to be no avoiding surgery because it causes pain, it pinches the nerves. So you're pulling it. I can pull a little more now because it's stretched up. I'm going to hold it a little bit, release it, and hold it. As with all exercises, you want to finish with a little stretch because they were working hard, and when you work a muscle hard, it can just kind of going to stay here, and you need to lengthen them back out. So I'm lengthening those back out. You're going to move it side to side because it's nice and warmed up from the marble pickups. And they are a challenge, but let me tell you, they have done probably some of the most good for my feet, strengthening them and getting rid of the pain. Back and forth. And as always, some kind of topical pain cream. Yes, it's just topical. I'm featuring the Blue Emu. I have others I will feature on other videos because not every type of cream works for everybody. Okay, I've used various ones and it's been like so helpful, and then all of a sudden my body says, no, it's not gonna work anymore. So I massage wherever I feel pain. Now, if you're going to ice your feet afterwards, which again, I highly recommend some part of the day, getting a nice pack, a water bottle and rolling it, that's a little much for me. It hurts my feet, a water bottle, but some people said it feels wonderful for them. And again, the other one, look at the mess you've made. So much fun picking up. And, but if you keep everything together in a little bag like that, it's handy. Oh, I feel happy feet. Okay, so you see the
This conference will now be recorded.
First, this is going to be a calf stretch. And again, what you can do is you can get a belt or a dog leash if you have a dog. That makes it very nice because they have loops on the end. But either way, you have to take your belt or your dog leash. And what you're going to do with this one is usually when you just get a calf stretch, you're going to pull in like this. You want your leg to be straight, and you're going to relax your foot and pull towards you. Now, with plantar fasciitis, you actually want to get your toes involved too. Now, most of the time when I'm just telling somebody to stretch their calves, I don't want them to get their toes involved. But with this one, you want to stretch those toes as well as your calves. That's really going to stretch out that fascia underneath, which is basically just a tissue layer underneath that's the part that gets irritated. Itis means irritated. So guess how long you're going to hold it? 30 seconds, 3 times each. That's the standard for your stretches. So you're just going to big pull, stretch. You want to keep your knee straight. If your knee starts coming up, that's not going to get the stretch. So make sure that your knee is staying straight. All right, after you get those stretches in, what you're going to do next is a little bit of massage on your foot. You want to massage out that fascia that's irritated. So you can take off your shoes, take off your sock, and make sure your foot's nice and clean when you're showing it to people. And what you're going to do is just really simple. You can get some lotion, which will help increase the heat in there, make your fingers move a little bit easier. But what you're doing is if you do have plantar fasciitis, I can't even say it right. Plantar fasciitis, you'll be able to feel some bumps in that fascia, and that's just that irritated skin right there. What you're going to do is you're going to start off and you're going to take your thumbs and you're going to push through there, and then you're going to go out at the end. And so you're pushing it out as you go. And like I said, if you can get somebody to do it for you, it's a lot nicer. All right, but you're just kind of giving yourself a massage to really loosen everything up. So probably about 5 minutes of that, and that should have everything a little bit loosened up for you. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is do some sitting stuff over here on the couch. And maybe move Bailey out of the way. All right. Ooh, Bailey magically disappeared. How convenient. Okay, so the next stretches I'm going to show you are stretches that you can do as you're getting up out of bed before you actually get up and stand on your foot, because this is the most painful time. So I'm going to take off my shoes because I wouldn't have my shoes on while I'm sleeping. And what I'm going to do to start off with is you can get something just like a noodle from the store. These are usually about maybe 99 cents, not very expensive. What you're going to do is you're just going to simply take your foot, roll it all the way to the heel, roll it back all the way up to your toes. And this is going to stretch out that fascia underneath. So as much as you can tolerate, it might be a little painful because you're stretching it out, but again, you don't want tears coming down. You're just going to stretch it back and forth. You actually want to do this for a couple minutes because you want to get it really stretched out. Now, my favorite thing to do, and this is probably just as easy, is to get a water bottle from any store, and what you're going to do is you're going to put it in your freezer and store it overnight. So this is actually frozen right here. It's ice. And so what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing that you did with the noodle. You're just going to roll back and forth. But with the ice in there, what that's going to do is that's going to calm down that inflammation, the tightest part of that plantar fasciitis. So you're simply just going to roll back and forth Get it nice and stretched out for a couple minutes before you get up and walk. And that should have it stretched out, calm down a little bit before you get ready to get up and go. All right, the last stretch I'm going to show you, you can do on a step that you have at home. You don't actually have a step ladder like this, but I'm just kind of showing you that you can do it on your step, going upstairs, a porch step, but just somewhere where you can kind of hang your foot on. You probably want to leave your shoes on. I'm just showing you without it so you can see what's going on. What you're going to do is you're going to come up to the step, and you're going to drop that heel down. What that's doing is that's really giving a good stretch on that plantar fascia down. So same kind of thing. You can guess it. You're going to hold it for 30 seconds, and you're going to do it 3 times. So just letting that heel it'll keep dropping further the more it stretches out. So you're going to stretch, stretch, stretch. Come back up. After the 30 seconds, shake it out. All right, so there you have it. Those were your stretches for your plantain French fries. Wait a minute. So remember, if you like, just a comment. If you like exercises and some.
This conference will now be recorded.
And that's critical. You're not going to go on your foot straight in. This could be
You're not going in like this.
right, fairly aggressive. You want to go at an angle so that it actually does a cross fiber massage, which has been recommended by Dr. Syriac.
You actually may want to take your shoes.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. There we go. There we
Right.
go.
It was recommended by Dr. James Syriac. He's passed away probably 30 years by now already.
Yeah.
But he was the father of orthopedic medicine. Very effective cross fiber massage.
And so I'm doing that without much less effort, and you get a better job done with this. But I'm still, if I get up to that sore spot and it's like, oh, that hurts, stay away from it. Work around it. You know, you can work up in here. You can vary the pressure and use good judgment. You don't want to have the idea no pain, no gain. It should be like a good massage.
A good pain.
Yeah.
And bump up against the pain, but don't go in.
Exactly.
Don't go into this pain cave. Kelly started like
Yeah, the pain cave. I've heard someone call it the hurt box.
the hurt box.
Yeah. Whoever, everyone's got their own little.
Now, why the massage is nice to have also in the case of plantar fascia is we want you to work what they call upstream also, because you want to make sure you get all the muscles that are affecting the entire foot. And if this muscle is tight, when you walk, this part of the foot is going to take more stress.
Right.
So even the hamstring thread should be loose enough that they're not pulling and causing tightness and causing increased stress to your foot. Yeah, you really want to get up into the calf, work that out. You want to maybe, like I said, the hamstring. This is where this one really shines.
Yeah.
I know it's too much for you, Brad.
It is. Now, when I get into my calf, I use the smaller one. It doesn't have as much travel. And I tolerate it because I need to work. And Bob just brought that up. I got to work on this more.
Yeah, if it's tender, you need work on it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hit it and there's no pain at all, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Like I got some muscles that are fine, and I got lots of muscles that are not fine. So
And this is the thing about a gun is you can use it all over your body, and other people in your family. We've got Chris. They've got 2 or 3 guns, and between him and his son and his wife are using one now.
Chris is a pharmacist that we have on the channel every so often.
His son's a hockey player. Those
Chris is quite active.
Oh God, yeah, he's one of those.
Nut. So
Not a nut case. Just
not kidding.
in the night.
All right.
Very aggressive.
Brad, I'm now going to show the last one here. This is an interesting technique, again, done by Kelly Starr, the author of the Becoming a Simple Leopard.
We still don't know for sure if it's Starr, not Steer.
I think it's
How we
Starr.
pronounce
Yeah.
last name.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to talk.
So you can you put your thumbs right on the Achilles tendon, and you're putting pretty good pressure on it. And while you're doing that, you're actually flossing the muscle.
So you actively move your ankle up and down like this.
And where I feel this is right on there. It really pulls on there. And that means that bound down a little bit.
Sure.
And when you do this, you're going to find out your motion is going to improve over time.
See, now, I feel mine more proximal or more up this way, so I've,
You're going up a little higher.
and I do occasionally when I run, I get a strain in those things, and I need to work on
Yeah,
that.
mine's pulling right here, Brad.
This is I really like this. You don't need a gun. You can do it manually. So, you know, you could do this. I remember I went on vacation once and I had this gun and it was so hard to pack, but now this one's easier to pack, but if you can have options to do without, that's a great,
Right,
great
you can
thing.
certainly work it with your hand.
You bet.
If you get some fatigue
Yeah.
after a while, so.
And probably the older you get, like my fingers just don't tolerate things. I don't, I'm becoming a whip, I just don't.
They're probably getting a little bit of arthritis, Brad.
Bob, don't say
I'm sorry.
This conference will now be recorded.
Is to loosen up those muscles. So we're going to use that derma edge to keep that calf nice and relaxed. And I have a lot of problems in this area. So you can probably see it be a little bit bumpy there. I'm going to go all the way down in towards the Achilles and even get into the Achilles a little bit there, making sure you get both sides because it can be tight on either side there or straight through the back. Going in one direction until it's a little bit looser. Now I'm going to have good blood flow going. The muscles themselves are going to work a little better. And then I'm going to do a stretch. So you don't want to do that stretch with the heel hanging down off of the chair. For one reason, you're going to hang on the ligaments a little bit, which is not great on the ankle. For another reason, that doesn't help in a functional way and how that foot is supposed to work. So I'm going to hold up this column here as I go to stretch. If I'm stretching that right foot, I'm going to bring that right foot behind me. Try to keep that heel angled inward a little bit. Heel stays down. Then I'm actually going to bring that opposite foot across to get an even better stretch and to really properly stretch out both of those calf muscles. If you have tightness in through the soleus, bring that foot a little bit closer and then add a bent knee that kind of gets deeper and lower down towards the ankle. So release the muscles, stretch the muscles, 30 seconds to a minute. And then if this joint itself is restricted, you're going to grab a band, attach it to something sturdy, place that right around that ankle. You can even do this with a strap or a belt. And then I'm going to actually do what we call mobilizing that ankle. So now I'm causing a force to go through that joint in case it's not just the muscle that's tight as well. So release, stretch, mobilize. 10 to 15 reps or so of that. So that's all with the calf. Lastly, we want to talk about the fabulous butt muscles. So if this muscle, especially the glute medius muscles, aren't kicking in well, what happens is, again, you get that after work. This is okay. You can hang on if you need to too. You're going to come. I'm going to turn this way. You can hang on if you need to too. You're going to come out into or down into a squat, and then I'm going to pull those knees apart and work on lifting the arch at the same time. So now I'm working all the way down through the foot muscle as well as these muscles out to the side to help pull that foot and leg outward. Again, about 10 or 15 or so. And I worked my glutes already this morning, so my legs are a little shaky as I'm doing this video. But there you have it. The two most common reasons that I see that plantar fascia being irritated. Tightness through the calf or in that joint, and then weakness through some of those hip muscles. So by all means, work that plantar fascia, get that loosened up. But if you really want to prevent it from coming back again in the future, you've got to address those main causes. So thank you for tuning in.
This conference will now be recorded.